Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
240-page report analyzed 2016 Russian meddling campaign, the U.S. government reaction to it, Russian campaigns in other countries, and provided specific recommendations to improve American election security. I'm going to ask my staff to hand these reports to our two witnesses today, just so they can have a recollection of their memory.
That's Devin Nunes. Today was yet another day of stuff that didn't change anybody's mind. I talked to earlier to Congressman Andy Biggs, who's a huge supporter of Trump. And he did say, look, Rudy's no longer a bit player. That's for sure. But I said nobody's minds were changed because everybody's minds were made up. Am I right? He's like, you're right. Everybody's minds were already made up. Nobody changed their mind because everybody already thought. People thought Trump was dirty long before we ever got to the point of the Ukrainian phone call and the quid pro quo and all. People already believed he was dirty. Other people believed that this is a political hit job that started long before. And yet here we are. What's going to happen? Pretty much confirmed that they're going to move forward with articles of impeachment. They have to write something up. Now, interestingly, they're not going to do the judicial. So what could potentially happen is this will be done here, and it would go to the Judicial Committee, and they could have a hearing. But in that hearing, the Republicans would be free to call any witness. Jerry Nadler. Nah, they're like, no, we're just going to write this up and go from there. But nothing has changed. So if you believed he was innocent, you still believe it. If you believed he was guilty, you still believe it. If you're like me, you think there's a bit of both. I think there was some funny business, but not enough to impeach. I'm concerned about some of the stuff, but the reality is I look at it and say, you're just because you wanted something, you planned something, you tried to do something, and as ugly as it is, based on everything we got at this point in time, I just think that we're better looking at doing other things with our time. Right? Like figuring out how we can actually fund the government for real by balancing the things that we need to do, even though we've kind of half-ass balanced it.
We did the continuing resolution that will be passed in the Senate today, sent to the president. And we have passed our appropriations bills, so we're ready for the negotiation, and hopefully it will take place expeditiously.
And it went to the Senate. They'll kick it to, December 20th, my birthday, and then they'll do it again. And I was talking to Biggs. I mean, it's going to be again and again and again and again, he said, because the fact is you have to have political courage. And political courage is very important. It doesn't matter what you do. Think about this for a second. The right thing to do, that's what people are saying. Oh, what's the right thing to do, right? It's the right thing to do. This is last night afterwards. This is Pete Buttigieg talking about impeachment.
It would be disappointing if Republicans who I know, I'm talking about congressional Republicans, I know that deep down they know better. If they can't summon the courage to stand up, I think they're going to regret how they are remembered in history.
Are they really? I don't think so. Because of the politics of it all. We're not. It's so bizarre the way we hold some people accountable for stuff and want to cancel them, but politicians are very weird that it's a lot of ways we're not doing the things that we should. Should we hold these people accountable if they've done something wrong? Absolutely. Right? You know, I mean, the people on both sides of the aisle scream that no president should be above the law, no person should be above the law, yet at the same time, I see a lot of them skirt the law. But one thing I do know is, while no president is above the law, my job, I got to answer questions to my husband, to my wife, to my kids, to my this, to my that. I like the life I lead. Am I willing to give it all up? That's the reason that a lot of big things never get done. Because you have to have political courage. You have to say, I got the stomach for this. I'm ready to try this. Social Security is going to go bankrupt. We got to take on some of these entitlements, and we got to look at them and say, these are the things we have to do. But nobody has the political courage to do it because you are committing political suicide. And everybody knows that. So they just kind of steer clear of it, and they tap dance around. I don't really, but what if, and I could get in trouble, then people will kick me out. If the public, if we held them accountable for real, and we said to ourselves, Donald Trump has done something here that is so just ridiculous, that he has crossed the line. He has used people like Rudy Giuliani, who, by the way, is starting to toss people under the bus, and that's going to be coming out in the next couple days. But he has to go. And if you don't hold him accountable, and they say to themselves, you'll do what? And their constituents say, we will vote you out. We will vote you out. You know what they would do? They'd flip. Because it's just like people who are in a situation where the first one in to the police cuts the best deal. They're willing to do the same thing. They're willing to flip if it means saving their own hide. But because of the politics, because of how personal it is, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You don't. You don't have to worry about any of that at this moment in time. Right now, everybody's staying the course.
There's been a very aggressive campaign here by the White House to keep the senators on board. In fact, I am told that the president will be having lunch today with a group of 10 Republican senators. Among those expected to be here at the White House, dining with the president, Mitt Romney and Susan Collins, two of those moderates who would be expected to possibly break ranks if anybody would.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. They also expect, and they've said so, there will be a few Democrats who may also break ranks. It happened with Clinton, right? Even though it was partisan, there was several Republicans that voted, not to remove him. It's going to happen. Why is that? Because people are going to look and say, I'm in a place where I better think about what I do. Because while I'm a Democrat, my state is pretty damn red. And I have a tough race in front of me, and this may be a real issue. So, because it's about protecting. And on top of that, they know that, right? So the likes of, especially, you'll go to your leaders, you'll go to the Pelosi's, you go to the Schumers or whoever it is, and you'll say, look, it's important that we keep the seat. If I do this, we could be jeopardizing the seat. What they care about is, A, you want to keep your place, but B, they want to make sure they hold on to their own. You saw it a lot when there was some tough, in 2018, last year, when there were tough races in the Senate and, where you were seeing people who were against, the pipeline, right? The Keystone Pipeline. But all of a sudden they were close to losing their seat and it was great for their state and they'd flip. Why? Because it's about the politics. It's about keeping your own, protecting your own, not only your own ass, but the numbers you have already. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I will say last night was very interesting, and I think that's really the best way to describe the insanity that was the Democratic debate. It's just, there was a few hit outs and stuff. There was a few things that were like, but most of it was exactly what everybody thought it was going to be. They did hit out on more than a few occasions when it came to Trump, which to me, I just sit there and I laugh and I'm like, really, do you need to talk that much about Trump? It should be about you and what you're going to do. I thought Cory Booker had the best night out of everybody as far as, people that really needed a night.
I have a lot of respect for the vice president. He has sworn me into my office as a hero. This week, I hear him literally say that I don't think we should legalize marijuana. I thought you might have been high when you said it.
Couple decent lines. Cory is he's an interesting character. I don't dislike Cory Booker, right? He does he does his Spartacus moments and he says something. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think any of them are like awful people. Even the Republicans, some I dislike. I joke about Adam Schiff, but that's only because I mean it. But the reality is there's just a lot of them that really don't have a chance. And they're running for other things, right? Some of them know that. They're running for a potential cabinet position, right? They're running for a potential situation where maybe they get to be vice president. They're running for those kind of things. It's going to be great when you go back. Some of them are running because they're testing the waters. Like, what's it going to look like in 4 years, especially if Trump ends up winning again? But for all intents and purposes, there was nothing there. The one thing I will say is Pete Buttigieg kind of came through unscathed. And the more you watch him, the more you realize how polished he is, how smart he is. And one of the reasons he doesn't get attacked is because it's kind of like why people didn't want to debate the politics and a lot of the issues with somebody like Ted Cruz. So you hit out at different things and you made yourself more likable because Ted, especially when it comes to law, the guy's ridiculous. Pete is so smart. When you hit out, you're going to get something back, and he's going to hit you harder than you hit him. And they kind of left him alone when they had opportunities, I think, to maybe go after him. But at the end of the day, all that matters is they don't really have that front runner, I think, that's scaring Trump. What do you do if you're them? Because nobody's riding through that door that's going to save him. And the one you do have that is in the lead had a bad night, but he's still excited.
I am the clear front runner in the party. I'm ahead on the national average of all the polls by 7-8%. But it's a long way to go. A long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go. Very, 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 very long way to go. But it's going to start to look really quick come the first of the year. Really, really quick. And you got to start figuring out how you're going to raise money, and that includes the Democrats who are struggling to raise money. So the Democrats have $7 million in debt, right? The DNC. Get ready for this. They have $7 million in debt. They have $8.5-ish million on hand. The Republicans have $160 million in cash, and Trump has $1 billion as far as his war chest. And this impeachment, they're raising money like they're printing money. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Uh-oh, did I just start something? I said they're printing money, and chances are Adam Schiff's like, do you think they're really printing money? We should probably get him in here and find out. It's a joke. Euphemism. Never mind. You wouldn't get it. AMAC, amazing. Association of Mature American Citizens. How about a free membership, right? Like, when do you get something that's free? Something where we were just talking about Social Security and all these things, being able to take these things on. You need people that are out there fighting for you. AMAC is that. They want to make sure that you are in a position where, well, guess what? It's solvent. Because if you look, it's got 7-10 years if they don't change anything, and nobody's willing to go to that, to the mat for that. Same thing with Medicare. See what they want to do with Medicare. And what about immigration? Goodness me. AMAC's out there fighting for you. Getting in front of all these politicians saying, what are you doing? They're fighting for you. On top of that, benefits are huge. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts. Amazing discounts to movies. So you want to go see a movie, they got huge discounts on movie tickets. And if you've seen how expensive movies are, this is a great thing. So many. I mean, it is incredible the amount of stuff that they have benefits-wise. And it's free. Free to join. It's 1 year. It's on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad, or call 888-355-1617, 888-355-1617, or amac.us/Chad. 1 year free. It's on me. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
As Ambassador Sondland would later tell career Foreign Service Officer David Holmes immediately after speaking to the president, Trump did not give an expletive about Ukraine. He cares about big stuff that benefits him, like the Biden investigation that Giuliani was pushing.
That's Adam Schiff. You just say the words. We're grown-ups. I mean, this is grown-up stuff you're talking about. Just say the words. Is anybody with me? Somebody just texted me and said, do you think Trump's or president's above law? No, I don't. But I also know what's going to happen. That there isn't going to be a removal. There will be an impeachment, and those are different. Another person says, I don't remember how it works. This is like, so if somebody commits a crime, or they think somebody commits a crime, they go, and then what happens, right? The prosecutors, they're going to go look at stuff, right? The DA goes and looks, decides whether or not they're going to press charges. That's kind of what this is. This is all of the gathering the evidence. Then they have to write up a report. Then they'll write up another report recommending articles of impeachment. Then they'll vote on it. Then the trial begins in the Senate. The Senate then will decide whether or not he's removed. And you need what? They need 65 or 67. They're not going to get that. So they're not. So they're going to need 15 Republicans to jump ship and hope that all Democrats stay there. So it's just not going to happen. In life, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And while you may be able to prove some of these things, the reality is it beyond a reasonable doubt? Because there's too many people out there that are saying, well, there's too much here, hearsay, this, that, and the other. And plus politics gets involved. And that makes everything kind of messy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I love hearing from every single one of you. By the way, Producer Phil, I asked last night my younger producer, who the Hawaiian Crayon we call him, about half the people, like the Black Pumas, who I had no idea who were. There was the band that's nominated. He had no idea who 90% of them were either. So, and he'd never heard of Iverson, Bonnaroo, Boniver. Never heard of him either. And he's pretty hip. He knew, I was playing a bunch of songs. He knew them all. But he hadn't heard of like Tank and the Gasometrics or whatever they were called, or Boniver, so that's weird. So I'm not the only one. Just want everybody to know that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
What we've seen here is far more serious than a third-rate burglary of the Democratic headquarters. What we're talking about here is the withholding of recognition in that White House meeting, the withholding of military aid to an ally at war.
But none of that happened. And that's, at the end of the day, all that matters. Earlier on Fox, they were talking about who would be the one, right? Because we've talked about the political side of things and how politics matters the most. And the only way you usually get truth out of people in politics is when they've got nothing to lose, meaning they're retiring or they've already retired and they can let it fly. And they were talking about Will Hurd, who is retiring and not seeking another term. And Brett Barron then was saying, look, this is the person that everybody was looking at because he has nothing to worry about politically.
He is a moderate Republican who is not seeking re-election. In other words, there's no political fallout from it. He said the president acted inappropriately on that call, but he does not see anything that is bribery or extortion or impeachable. He said it's an ugly process, a sloppy process, but it's not impeachable. That, to me, suggests if you can't get Will Hurd, it's going to be tough to get 20 Republican senators.
Yeah. Very tough. Very, very tough. But they're gonna do it. And you know what? This is what you want? This is where you're going? No choice but to do it. You're keeping your base happy. The Republicans are keeping their base happy. Nothing has changed. But you better get ready because you've shot now twice. Once you missed and once you hit. I always thought of it like You ever watch boxing? And you ever see somebody who throws their best shot and they hit the guy on the chin and the guy just kind of looks at him and smiles? That may be this, where they hit as hard as they could, right? And boom. And he's just like, hi. And you're like, oh, this could be long. Yeah. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. You can tweet us. Last week, Thursday Night Football, insanity in the last minutes. Myles Garrett took the helmet off of Rudolph, the quarterback, Mason Rudolph, the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he whacked him with it. He's been suspended indefinitely, had a chance today to have his hearing, wants to be reinstated, realizing probably not this year, but wants to know there's an end in the process, which there isn't. But he did say that something happened in the process of this entire fight.
ESPN reporting that during his appeal hearing Wednesday, Myles Garrett told NFL officials that Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph called him a racial slur just before the brawl that led to Garrett ripping Rudolph's helmet off and hitting him over the head with it. Rudolph denies the allegation, his attorney releasing a statement calling it a lie and an assault on Mason's integrity. The league is expected to make a decision soon on how long Garrett's indefinite suspension will last.
Producer Phil, remind everybody how long indefinite means.
It means forever, and that's a mighty long time. Oh, wait, that's Prince.
That is a mighty long time. This is Cam Hayward talking about that, because those are big accusations, right? Those are huge accusations in a lot of ways, because you've got to think about this, right? You just accused a guy who's white, right, of calling a player who's black a racial slur. And in doing so, you threw something out there where in this day and age, we tend to label long before anything comes out. But you also know this. You've also put a player in a situation where they're going to look at him in a much different way. And his teammates who are black may be questioning some of those things.
We were talking right before practice. And, for Mason, I know he's not going to talk about it because, he's being villainized by it. But, he said, I'm going to be labeled as that. And I just don't think that's right. That's my teammate, and I'm going to fight for him. I'm going to do what's best for him. But that kid, made a bad mistake, but he never crossed the line when he talked about racial slurs.
Yeah. So, and if he didn't, think about this. If he didn't, and the only two that would know about it were there, but there was another player that was trying to break them up. But if he didn't, not only have you taken the helmet off of a guy who should have done better, who also had, I thought, should have been suspended, right? Because I think he went, he was also pulling on a face mask, and it looked like he kicked out at the ground. But if he didn't say that, you've not only hit a guy, now you have a reputation, which you're going to be known about forever, but you've also lied about a guy. So in the space of a week, think about this, a week ago, you're one of the best players in the NFL. Now you're suspended indefinitely and potentially have slandered a guy. So you're going to be known by two things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. This is, I don't even know how to describe this.
8 of the 22 people who died in the massacre at the Walmart were from Mexico. And that country's Foreign Relations Department says it's assisting 10 plaintiffs filing suit against Walmart. As with lawsuits filed by American survivors and families of victims, the complaint from Mexico is that Walmart did not take reasonable and necessary measures to protect its customers.
I don't know what they were supposed to do. Like, that's, to me, what is Walmart supposed to do? Right? So somebody who doesn't live in your city, who has made no vocal threats to Walmart about going there, drives for hours and then randomly picks the Walmart there, goes in and kills people, and now they want to hold you accountable for somebody coming in and killing people in your establishment, saying you should have done more. I don't know what else they could have done. Like, what else, I mean, that's like right? Like, what else are you supposed to do? It's like, oh, we're gonna sue the captain of the boat because somebody torpedoed us, and he should have known that they were going to torpedo us. Like, what? Like that? What's Walmart supposed to do? Are they supposed to have, and now instead of those people that are greeting you, they're gonna have people in the parking lot? I mean, I asked the question earlier because I was asking a lawyer who works here, and they're like, it's the world we live in, man. People, they will sue at any chance they can get. That should be our pastime, is suing. And I get it. If something happened, if you had a bunch of threats and you didn't alert the people and you thought it was no big deal, that's one thing. But randomly, somebody showing up and doing that to me, I don't know. But they'll look at it probably settle, because they'll say you can defend it. It's going to cost you this. It's just cheaper to settle. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I don't know about you, but interesting.
Uber is rolling out a pilot program allowing passengers and drivers to record audio during their rides as a safety measure. That program is being tested in Brazil and Mexico starting next month. The company has come under scrutiny after numerous cases involving safety for riders and drivers. Here's how Uber says that program will work. Once the passenger enters the car, they can start recording and can share the recording if they want to report a problem. The ride-sharing company says the recordings will be encrypted to protect privacy. If all goes well, Uber may launch the program in other markets, including the U.S.
First of all, we all know that crazy stuff will get out. Right? Because you can encrypt it all you want, but come on now. Secondly, Mexico and Brazil, we're going to get some weird stuff. Like, at least kick it off. But this is another one of those, they're trying to CYA themselves. That's what it's all about. What more can we do? How much more can we protect ourselves against everything? Even if you have the greatest background checks, like we go to the deepest, we're talking to your, like, we're calling your second cousin that you only met once to find out if they thought you were mentally stable or unstable to be an Uber driver. Even if they did that, if something happened, you can't stop it. But now this would be very interesting, because then you run into the situation where, and here's where Uber runs into a bizarre situation. So, okay, so you can go record it. And there you go, record it. And it's not supposed to get out. But then what if something does get out? Then all of a sudden, even though Uber may not have done something to you, the video gets out. So now Uber's getting sued as well. So that's a no-win. It is a no-win. Not until you get the driverless cars is it going to be a win. And even then, who knows? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. I posted a poll today, now that everything is over and done with when it comes to the least public hearings for now. What do you think? Is he guilty? Is he innocent? Is there more to it? Is there a Rudy problem? Rudy problem, 19%. Undecided, 8%. Innocent of all fake news, 50%. Guilty, 22%. So the Rudy problem is real, though. When I heard Congressman Andy Biggs, who's a staunch supporter of the president, who about a month ago, when I said he's got a Rudy problem, he's like, well, I don't really think so. And today he's like, yeah, there's definitely, he's no longer a bit player in this. There's an issue there. Take the poll at Chad Benson Show. You can also text us as well. 323-538-2423. Wounded Paw, amazing organization. Incredible organization. Rescuing dogs and taking them from shelter to service dogs, and then getting them to our veterans, our first responders and their families, and what they're doing, and the different kind of animals. So they're not pure, these pure blood animals that call. No, they rescue certain dogs. They look around and they have organizations say, hey, we've got a great dog here that we think would be fantastic for your organization, and they train them and they do all kinds of different things, and it is amazing. The work they're doing is incredible. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and they need your help. They do. Take action today. Great tax-deductible gift. You can turn your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat into a vehicle of change, and you will be saving it a paw to save a life. And that is so true. That is so true. Call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. Or better yet, visit woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org. What they do is incredible. woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show, the only place so far that the Mueller investigation hasn't deep probed for collusion.
Stay tuned. This is Chad Benson.
Well, the game of Uno is already known to create a commotion at family gatherings.
And now the game's designers are hoping to keep something else from breaking up your happy holidays. Politics, often the culprit. The new Uno nonpartisan gets rid of the politically charged red and blue cards in the deck. All right, well, they're going to replace them with more neutral colors, orange and purple, to keep the focus on the fun. If someone starts to talk politics while playing the game, anyone can grab the new veto card, play it to skip the person's turn. Yeah, that's going to go over well.
I don't know if it really will go over well. Who's going to play that? I understand what they're trying to do. Just don't play games, right? That's the best way to do it. Like, you could play games or you could not play games. I've never been, well, as a kid growing up, we were very competitive. Like we were a little competitive, is what I'm trying to say. It's like we were kind of competitive. So, and there was an incident. We call it the incident still to this day. So my mother said we can never play games again. And we never have. We don't. Last year, I was visiting for Christmas, and we played, my little sister and her brother, she got a game and she wanted to play it. It was something to do with like exploding cats or something like that. That was kind of fun. But within about 20 or 30 minutes, it got really competitive again. And I'm like, I'm out. And my mom's like, this is why we don't do games. I'm like, I know, right? I know. But you throw, in my family, throw games in politics, there may be a shooting. There may be. You don't know, but it's possible. 323-538-2423. That Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. I don't coach. People say, Chad, why don't you coach soccer? Right? All the time I'll hear it. Why don't you coach soccer? She says, don't coach. It's not my thing. I did, but I after my last experience of coaching in club, I just like, it will never, ever, I don't have the time now, but I would just never do it anyways. I just wouldn't. It's just an awful experience. Parents are the worst. Sometimes the kids are worse. But more than likely, it's the parents. The parents are awful. Case in point, baseball game, and obviously it's in Florida. Little upset by the way that people are acting. Parents. And decided he'd had enough of, being an ump at that moment in time.
Enough. I'm not hearing another word of anything.
Then be fair.
No, wait a second. Did you just hear me? Yeah, I heard you. Okay, you want to have a game here? Quiet down. It's a baseball game.
Hey, stay professional for the kids and just do your job.
Come on.
That's it.
Come on. You're mad because the kids are taller than you?
Wow.
Ridiculous.
And so he's there, and he's got the full garb on, right? He's got the blue shirt, he's got the gray pants, right? Like the full outfit. Because it looks like it's a serious, you could tell it's like a club travel team. It's a serious game. And you hear, are you mad because they're taller than you? Right? And he's got the little apron thing with the pouch and the balls in it, and he throws the balls up in the air. He walks by first base, out the dugout, out to the car. They're filming him, gets in his car, and he takes off. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. People are so insane. And kids' sports bring out the worst in parents. Like, I go watch Jack play. I don't say anything. Like, good game, bad game. We'll sometimes make fun of him. Like, you should have caught that. Like, but just joking around with him. Like, I don't scream and yell, but I will tell you what. I get uncomfortable by the other parents screaming and going crazy. And it's like, whoa. Like, That's just, they're like 9. They're playing flag football, right? Nobody wins any, like they get maybe a trophy. I don't even know. I mean, doesn't everybody get a trophy? Is that the way it works nowadays? Like everyone gets a trophy? But because they think like, oh, there's got to be a scout out here, right? Look at my son. He's got a cannon for an arm, or look at soft hands, or I'm just like, and baseball is the worst. Soccer's getting there. Because when I was younger, parents didn't know what soccer was. So, like, they're like, well, the coaches, he's got to know because none of them really played. Now it's totally different. But baseball still, to me, is the worst. It is. And say, like, hockey. My brother's coaching hockey now with the Ducks. And he is a lot of their youth team. But most of the parents never played hockey, so they can't really say anything. But sports that parents are familiar with, they're vicious. Are you upset because they're taller than you? And because you're working for minimum wage to serve us? Horrible human being. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You see, he was far more serious than a third-rate burglary of the Democratic headquarters. What we're talking about here is the withholding of recognition in that White House meeting, the withholding of military aid to an ally at war.
Adam Schiff, it's over, it's done with. What next? That's the big question. Well, they're going to impeach him. You guys, that's going to happen, right? It's just when they've got to basically go through the entire, they've got to put together a report, then they got to figure out what articles and what they're going to charge him with, and then they'll vote on it.
This has to go to the judiciary first, and they have to hold some hearings, and then, of course, they will eventually decide what the articles of impeachment should be.
I spoke earlier to Congressman Andy Biggs, and he said it's not going to go to the judiciary the way that they think, because if it goes there and they have any kind of hearings, the Republicans then can subpoena their own witnesses and bring people in, and which is you haven't seen. I mean, Schiff didn't allow any of that stuff. I mean, as far as the stuff that they wanted to do, he had the right to run it the way it is. But if it goes to judiciary, that can change. So, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen by Christmas is what they're saying. It will happen by Christmas, which means the first of the year is going to be impeachment time, removal time. He's not going to be removed. He's not. He's not going to be removed because he's got cover. He's got all of the people that are going to run cover for him, and it isn't going to go the way that so many people think, well, it should absolutely go this way. But you have a lot of people out there. Andy Biggs earlier I talked to, Jim Jordan.
Remember when this call came out, they said there's going to be a quid pro quo. Haven't seen it. Not there.
So when you have this, and then you have the other side saying no, and it's crazy. It's crazy, right? They see different things. But the big thing is, politically, who's going to get on board with it? Will Hurd, who's the most moderate probably of the Republicans, who's from Texas, who's retiring and going off into other parts. I think he's just over politics in general. Said, look, it's sloppy. There's a lot of things about this that's uncomfortable and it's not a good look, but does it rise to the level of impeachment and removal? I don't see it. There you go. And he's got nothing to lose, right? He's got nothing to lose. So it's not like him. I mean, he could be the one that goes, yeah, I find this completely ridiculous. But he's like, no. But at the end of the day, what happens is nothing's going to happen other than there's going to be a trial. And Chief Justice Roberts will oversee it. But the person in control of so much is going to be Mitch McConnell. And as he said earlier in the week, he spelled it out to everybody. I want to remind everybody that he spelt the whole thing out already.
It looks to me like the House is going to be on this until Christmas. Then it comes over to the Senate. It displaces all other business. The Chief Justice of the United States is in the chair. Senators are not allowed to speak. They have to sit there and listen. And I'm not sure how long it will go on. It looks to me like the House is determined to impeach the president. I can't imagine a scenario under which President Trump would be removed from office with 67 votes in the Senate.
So... no, I can't imagine it either. You're going to have to get how many people to jump ship? And you're going to also have to take into account. So you're going to need 15 to jump over Republicans. No, more than that. More than that, because you have 48. So you're going to need 19 or 20. And you got to remember this, too. You're going to have a few of them who are Democrats that aren't going to vote for that. So at the end of the day, did I like what he did? No. Did I think there was a quid pro quo? Yes. Is it to the point where I think he should be removed? No. Because, and partly, I think had they gone through with everything, right? Had they absolutely gone through with every single thing, that might have been a different story. But the only thing here that may get ugly is what takes place between Rudy Giuliani and his nefarious characters. That to me is still, and they got a Rudy problem. And you could hear them talking about that today. Like there is a Rudy problem across the board.
At one point during a preliminary meeting of the inaugural delegation, someone wondered aloud why Mr. Giuliani was so active in the media with respect to Ukraine. My recollection is that Ambassador Sondland stated, quote, "Damn it, Rudy. Every time Rudy gets involved, he goes and F's everything up."
Yeah. It's about right. He's got a problem. That's the Rudy problem. But what happens with Rudy, that remains to be seen. Because he hasn't been subpoenaed. These other guys are in jail. Some of them are out now. What happens to them? There's a lot of stuff here where you're like, as you start to unpack it, you're like, ugh. But he has a Rudy problem. And earlier today, Congressman Biggs, who is a huge supporter of Trump, said he's no longer a bit player. Because he, for weeks when I talked to him, he'd brush him off. Nah, there's nothing. And now he's like, well, it's undeniable that he's got more of a part to play. Yeah, it is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Last night they got on stage. They duked it out, kind of, but not really. I think Booker did okay. I think Buttigieg he's leading. He's 7 points up in Iowa. He's leading New Hampshire. He seems to be growing in strength. But the reality is the leader in the clubhouse still nationwide is Joe Biden. And he reminds everybody that he is that person.
I am the clear front runner in the party. I'm ahead on the national average of all the polls by 7-8%. And but it's a long way to go. A long way to go.
Yeah, it is a long way to go. But here's something funny last night. So they're asking about, guns and mass shooters and all of these things. And what are you going to do? And somewhere along the line, he starts wibble-wobbling and he gets to this.
And that's when we started this movement on the college campuses to fundamentally change the culture. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense, and that's rarely ever occurs. And so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. It will be a big no, I really mean it. It's a gigantic issue.
You're like, what? So that's where it went to. And you're just like, okay. He struggled mightily. But you could tell on stage, as they look around, people are sizing him up. The average person sizing him up. And we hear people say, well, Trump's base is not that big. I remind everybody, she got 65,800,000. He got almost 63 million. It's like a 2.5 million difference. This isn't one of those scenarios where he got, 40 million votes and she got 80 million votes, but somehow no, it's much closer than you think. It is. And the polls are showing right now he's taking a little, a tick up. Why? Because of impeachment. Same thing that happened to Clinton. And somebody's going to have to face him next year. And people are looking around saying, who is it going to be? Right? Because, look, Biden is the one that everybody's kind of going, oh, he's the one. But I have to be honest with you. I mean, and it's so funny because some people, I don't know what they watched last night. They talk about Warren. She did good.
I think that Senator Elizabeth Warren continues to really dominate at these debates. She's an experienced talker, and she's just she's so able to take a question and go back to her core issues, go back to her core platform. She's just a really excellent debater. I think that she does a good job in this setting.
Producer Phil, you texted me last night. What'd you say about Elizabeth Warren again?
She sounds too much like Hillary.
Yeah, she does. She talks over people. She talks down to people. She doesn't seem to be. There's just something there that it's, and it's not sexism, chat. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's none of those things. I look at, there's just something there where I'm like, no, I'm sorry, right? There's something there that, and I didn't think she did great last night. And the media loves her. Like, every question was like, hey, what's your name? Tom Steyer. Great, Tom. Thanks so much. Now we're going to go over to Elizabeth Warren, and they have a question. Then they'll say, same thing for you, Senator Booker. Booker will say 2 words, and she goes, okay, let me go back to Elizabeth Warren. And then somebody else would chime in, and they go back to Elizabeth Warren, and every once in a while he would have, somebody would have an opportunity. And Pete Buttigieg was I thought he did really well, and a lot of people thought, well, they're going to come after Pete. But they didn't. They didn't come after Pete at all. One thing I did like the last night, one of the lines of the night, if you will, was Amy Klobuchar talking about money in politics.
Money. I see my husband out there. My first Senate race, I literally called everyone I knew, and I set what is still an all-time Senate record. I raised $17,000 from ex-boyfriends. And I'd like to point out, it is not an expanding base, so I don't just think this with my head. I feel it in my heart.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Mr. Yang.
Mr. Yang. And, man, Yang's people are pissed. Well, MSNBC hates Yang or something like that. It was pretty funny. We'll talk about what's trending here in a minute. But last night, I just think that when I look at all of these things, that there's something that people see that they're missing, right? They're missing something. Trump has a lot of flaws, yes. But in saying that, at least they know, and knowing's half the battle of who's going to be their person. He's not going anywhere. The Republican Party's still behind him. He's got $1 billion war chest. They have almost $200 million in cash, while the Democrats have about $8 million. There's a lot of things going for the Democrats. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but I don't know. They're not sold. And that's what people want. They want the one. Who's the one that is going to be it? It isn't Bernie. Pete's too young. I talked to somebody earlier who is pretty much a Democrat. She was loving it last night, and and she works here, and she doesn't work on air. She works in the back office thing, and she said, you know what though, I just can't. He's just so young, and there is that sense. But take away the gay thing. It's the 37-year-old. I can't vote for my nephew. They're looking for the breakout one where everybody can get behind, not just because they hate Trump and they want Trump beat, but even people who are like, I wouldn't vote for Bernie's people. Bernie's people won't vote for me, and Elizabeth's people won't vote for him, or Yang's too. But everybody can get behind, and they don't have that person yet. They don't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Lightstream, man, Christmas is not far away. You got credit cards. Right? Pretty good credit. Yeah, but my rates are what? High? Average interest rate in America, credit cards, 20%. 20%. That's, come on. What are you doing? My buddies over at Lightstream, they want to consolidate your higher interest credit card balances to a lower rate safe. Big time. They're going to take care of you. How about this? Rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay, much lower than the national average. Top of that, you're going to get a special interest rate discount just for being a listener. Your rate's fixed. There's no fees. You can even get your money as early as the same day. So what are you waiting for? Now, the only way to get this special feed is go to lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. What's trending? Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? A lot of stuff trending. Big time. Sam Hunt, country star, arrested DUI. Oh, my goodness. Jacoby Ellsbury signed a massive contract 4 years ago with the Yankees, and he has struggled so bad and he's been injured. They released him yesterday, and they said, you are so bad at what you do right now, we will pay you $26 million not to play for us next year. Good work if you can get it, by the way. Good work. NFL Thursday night game tonight. Should be fun. Tesla's got a new truck. That's trending. People want to know what it looks like. I was like, cyberpunk truck. That's what it is. And Myles Garrett, because the NFL has said there is no evidence anywhere that he was racially abused by Mason Rudolph last week when they got into the fight, and he removed Mason's helmet and then tried to club him with it. So not only did you whack him like a whack-a-mole, you then went into the NFL to try to get your forever, at this moment in time, suspension reduced. You then said, and oh, by the way, he used a racial slur. And the NFL said there's no evidence of that. So, not looking good. Go over to Twitter. Man, the usual stuff. Twitter's far more political, for sure. MSNBC fears Yang. He was on MSNBC today. It was pretty funny. People just, next to him and holding up signs and stuff. But it's funny because the favorability. Man, people love Yang. People love Yang. Yang is, last night, he definitely jumped a bit. Net favorability went up almost 5 points yesterday. That's pretty funny, though. Look at old Yang, but he didn't get as much time. I mean, and he's kind of a one-trick pony, isn't he? Like, I like the guy, but and look, if I was president, I would go to him and say, I want you to be our technology guy, and I want you to really lead this when it comes to AI and a lot of stuff, and we'll talk about your $1,000 a month, all right? We'll put that in the back burner for now, but let's just, because I think he's right on a lot of things looking forward. I really do. But that's all he talks about, and then he talks about, like, hey, I'm going to give everybody freedom bucks and $1,000 a month, which, as producer Phil said, I want my $1,000 bucks. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Speaking of bribery, we got a great story coming up of bribery. Wait till you hear this. You're going to be like, well, if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it, right? That's the way to do it. And we've got a good story. We need more of those. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm the only person on this stage who will say that climate is the number one priority for me. Vice President Biden won't say it. Senator Warren won't say it. It's a state of emergency, and I would declare a state of emergency on day one.
Speaking of climate emergency is the word of 2019. Climate emergency. It soared almost 11,000%. Soared. Yeah, according to Oxford, that is it. 100-fold increase in the usage demonstrated a greater immediacy in the way that we talk about climate. Very much so, climate. So that is the word of the year. So climate, day one, when he doesn't become president, Tom Steyer, that's what's going to happen. I love listening to them talk about day one, I'm going to do all of these things.
37 million people who decided not to have a prescription filled because they just can't afford it. People who didn't take the tests the doctor recommended because they just can't afford it. So here is my plan. Let's bring as many people in and get as much help to the American people as we can, as fast as we can. On day one, as president, I will bring down the cost of prescription drugs on things like insulin and EpiPens.
And how are you going to do that? I'm curious. How are you going to do that? Are you just going to go in and you're going to take away their patents and you're just going to confiscate? I'm curious. I mean, I think it's a fair question. You're saying day one, you're doing this. And I understand some people skip tests. By the way, we've talked about this as well. So many tests are ordered that aren't really necessary because we live in a world of, CYAing yourself, and doctors will order the hell out of tests because they're worried, hey, what if? Yeah, you want to do something on day one? Let's talk about tort reform. Let's talk about some things like that. But day one, how are you doing that? I'm curious. So day one, you're doing this. Okay, how? Anyone? And that's where you need to ask the question. Right? And a lot of times they don't. And last night was one of those ones. I mean, people would be flipping out if it was, and people should have been you've got Rachel Maddow there last night, and she is in love with every one of those people on stage. And that's why, I would like to see Breitbart or Fox, as much as I'm not a fan. I don't have anything against them because I don't watch any of these shows. You know what? They should be asking the questions and vice versa. When the Republicans, they should be asking the questions of people who want to get answers about certain things because it is the tough questions where you're going to get the most honest answers. Day one, I'm going to make everybody, taller, thinner? I want to know what you're going to do. It all sounds great. But the reality is not the world we live in, where you're magically going to change something on that second and that day. Unless you're deciding that the government's going to take over certain things or produce its own and take the patent away. I mean, then what? People are going to be like, well, you're taking stuff away from. That's not a good thing. That's not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I like good stories. We don't have enough good stories. We talked yesterday about the golfer, right? This is another good story about a homeless man. And guess what? He's black, and these are police officers. Oh, my God. You know what happens here? No, you don't.
Sacrificing for the good of others isn't just Officer Roberto Acui's mantra. It's part of him, along with fellow officers Jose de Leon, Isabel Soto, Dana Wilhelm, and Scott McBath.
There's about 80 plus years of experience within all of us.
Patrolling the streets around the busy travel hub, they encounter a lot of people. So many people, in fact, they think of themselves not just as cops, but as city ambassadors.
We all swore to do this, took an oath.
So earlier this month, when Officer de Leon was approached by a man while working a routine call, he knew he had to help.
Yeah. A father, homeless, struggling, going to a cop. And this is, it's to be in that. And again, this is one of those things where There are people that struggle. Like most of the people that are homeless, everybody knows this. It's what? It's drug addiction. It's mental illness. It's a bit of both. Then there are people that need the opportunity because they find themselves in a bad situation. And if given the opportunity, they'll seize it.
He was by himself, and basically he told me he was homeless.
It was clear to you that he was desperate.
Totally clear. You can see it in his face. You can see it in his eyes.
Having moved from Michigan for work, the man and his family of 6 were down on their luck.
Their belongings were all in garbage bags. Kids' clothes, pajamas.
The man told the officers that they had been kicked out of a relative's home.
I saw his wife holding the 2-month-old. I saw the other kids, and immediately thought to myself, wow, we have to help.
We got to help, right? And that's a person. Came out for work, didn't happen. Family member kicks somebody out. They're down on luck. They don't have any money. All they want to do is get from point A to point B. And they're in the middle of a place that they don't recognize, right?
Not knowing where they're at and
the uncertainty of the unknown.
Uncertainty of how to get back home. Officer De Leon approached us and says, listen, we have a family that's in need. And then we took it from there.
Together, these 5 officers, who are each parents themselves, dug into their wallets and pulled out the cash they had. In all, nearly $200. The officers arranged for the family to spend a few days in a nearby shelter. And with the money, they made it back home to Michigan.
Stuff that you won't hear. And it's a good story because we do need it. It shows you that, look, we're all in this thing together and we're human beings. And I too often we forget because we're so busy arguing and fighting, and politics comes into everything. And it's such crap. It is, you know, we live in the best time in human history. We're living longer than ever before, but we're still in a situation where people love conflict, I guess. And which over and over and over again, that's all that everybody focuses on, and we forget the bigger picture.
The officers haven't spoken to the family since, but hope they landed back on their feet.
Many, many blessings for them, that everything turns out for them.
Paying it forward, all in a day's work for these officers.
It's on to the next call. It's on to the next person that needs us.
Yeah, and that's good, and I like that. Things are good things. We need more stories like that, and there are stories that happen like that every day. There are people that give, there are people that do things. You just don't know about it, right? Because it's not as, like, if a guy, a baseball player, here's a perfect example. Every Tuesday, Russell Wilson, Seattle, goes to Children's Hospital, does things, rarely covered, unless they're doing a little piece on him, right? A few, and most days during the week, they're out doing something. They're signing something. They're going somewhere. They're seeing somebody. They're doing something. Right? Little things. You just don't hear about it. Guarantee if Russell Wilson got caught in the DUI, if Russell Wilson got caught in a situation where something went crazy wrong and there was, it might be all over the place. It would be. But good things? And you know what? I've yet to find somebody go, hey, stop talking about good stuff. Bring more crap. There's enough crap out there. Trust me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. With the holidays coming up, many of you know you're going to be going, you're looking around, Airbnb, all these kind of things. Here's one thing you can't do now.
It happens every weekend at Holiday.
You'll see a large number of cars parked on the grass, liquor bottles in the front.
Emil Lippi has lived in his Northwest Dallas home for 35 years and has watched as neighbors have opened their houses as short-term rentals.
We don't know what might or might not happen.
A mega party at an Airbnb in California left 5 people dead. A teenager was shot and killed at a rental here.
Airbnb says it's going to monitor the rentals, but there's no way they can do that.
Airbnb promises a rapid response team to answer complaints like Lippi's.
Yeah, and I remember when I was out in Palm Springs, I lived out in Rancho Mirage, and so I had like this cool little casita and this very big house. And the guy who lived there, Gerald, really nice guy, he didn't rent it out. But when Coachella would come around, they'd rent the hell out of them. And so you'd see one time it was so insane. There is like like those tow truck flatbed trucks where it's just the bed and you can put like a car on there. There was all these, young 20-somethings on this thing, and they're all partying and drinking, and they're staying at a house like right across the street. And for like 6 days, all they did was party all night long. And apparently they trashed the place. There was like stuff in the pool, the whole 9 yards. Because, yeah, you know what? Everybody throws it. Look, here's a $2, $3, $4 million home. Everybody throws in a couple bucks because they're going to rent it out cheap. And it's a party time, right? It used to go party at hotels. Now it's totally different. Party at the Airbnb. Hey, we're not going to party here at the hotel because they're going to get mad at us and somebody's call the police, but here's a house and they're going to rent it out to us tonight for $1,500. Well, guess what? You get enough people to come. Everybody throws in like 100, 10 people, $150. Next thing you know, 30 people there, 40 people there. You let people into your house. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So the shooting at Walmart last year, guess what's happening? There is going to be a lawsuit. I know, weird.
8 of the 22 people who died in the massacre at the Walmart were from Mexico. And that country's Foreign Relations Department says it's assisting 10 plaintiffs filing suit against Walmart. As with lawsuits filed by American survivors and families of victims, the complaint from Mexico is that Walmart did not take reasonable and necessary measures to protect its customers.
I don't know what they could have done, but this is the perfect example of, we were just talking about what? Tort reform, right? You can sign everything. You could do everything to CYA yourself as much as possible. What was Walmart supposed to do? Have armed guards everywhere? And then when you do that, people are like, oh, it's a police state. Things are good. I mean, you can't win. A horrible human being decided to do something horrible. But everybody is looking for a reason to sue. And we just had a big thing here where, they were talking about, in the radio world, you can get sued for this, that, and the other. There's libel and there's this and there's all. And then they talked about, well, this kind of contest and all of these things and what you can and can't do. And I wasn't in any of them because, but I watched the video. It's easier. So, but the reality is, it's like, somebody, you could win something for somebody, go somewhere. Next thing you know, something happens and you're suing everybody. And it doesn't matter, no matter what liability, waivers, these, that, and the other. It's still, somebody's always looking to get paid. I mean, could somebody tell me what Walmart could have done better? You didn't know a horrible person was coming to do a horrible thing from far away. So what were they supposed to do? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing organization over 50. Right now, they're fighting for you for things like common sense immigration reform, right? Making sure that Social Security is solvent and that they're spending your money wisely in Washington. That's a smart thing. You need that. They're fighting for you big time. Top of that, they got great benefits, too numerous to mention. But I will say this, retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, insurance discounts, you name it, they've got it, including one of my favorites, which is discounts at movie theaters. Big time. Up to 50% off movie tickets. It is incredible. It really is. Right now, you can join for free. Free. It's a 1-year membership, free. It's on me. Go to amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1617. That's 888-355-1617. It's 1-year membership. It's free. It's on me. amac.us/Chad. AMAC is better for you, better for America. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
It would be disappointing if Republicans who I know, I'm talking about congressional Republicans, I know that deep down they know better. If they can't summon the courage to stand up, I think they're going to regret how they are remembered in history.
No, I don't think they care in a lot of ways until they're out of office. And I'll tell you why. It's what we've been talking about all day. So with all this stuff going on in the battle, and you had Fiona Hill, and you had, David Holmes, all of these things, and there's more hearings, and, Rudy, with all of those things. Remember, it's an individual choice. And these individuals, doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, they will choose to do the thing that benefits them the most politically, not what's the right thing to do. And it doesn't matter if it's the right thing to do for anything. If it hurts them politically to the point where they may lose their job, they won't do it. That's the reality of what happens in this world, in politics now. So, yes, I'm sure there's look, I'm sure there's plenty of people, because I talked to several who know that there's quid pro quos, who know that this is not a good thing, but who also know that this is very political, and that had this been another president who wasn't as politically so divisive and evoked so much reaction out of people, then maybe they wouldn't even have gone down this route. But the reality is if they thought for a second that keeping him as president would cost them their jobs, they'd be all for getting rid of him. It's about them. It's not about Trump. It's about them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from all of you. People are like, is it really about them? Yes, it is about them. You know what else? For all the stuff that we go through here, right? For all of that stuff, we talk about our craziness, right? The crazy stuff that happens in prison with Epstein, all of the wackiness that goes on here, the battles, the politics, this, that, and the other. Oh, my goodness, the bribes. Did he bribe him? Did he not bribe him? Did Trump do this? Did Trump do that? What about ice cream bribes?
3 police officers here in Rome are accused of tipping off the owners of restaurants and ice cream parlors to imminent health inspections in return for bribes of pasta and ice cream. The gelato graft allegedly occurred here in the heart of the ancient city, the Spanish Steps, as well as around the famed Trevi Fountain and other historic sites. The collusion emerged as part of a larger investigation into the alleged infiltration of southern Italian mafias into the restaurant business here in Rome.
Hey, what are you doing? Hey, all right, I'll do this for you. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about what is going on, but what I want in return is a pasta. I also want pasta. You can miss some pasta, would be good. 323-538-2423. Like, you want to talk about something that's hilarious? Could you imagine you're getting arrested? You're having to look your family in the eye? You remember how good we ate? Remember all the ice cream we had? There was a reason for that. Oh, no, Dad. Yes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. And make sure you grab your podcast. We're available across many, many different platforms. You can go to thechadshow.com. You can grab it on TuneIn Radio. Oh, man, you name it. It's out there. It's available. And here's the beauty of it. It's free. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
240-page report analyzed 2016 Russian meddling campaign, the U.S. government reaction to it, Russian campaigns in other countries, and provided specific recommendations to improve American election security. I'm going to ask my staff to hand these reports to our 2 witnesses today, just so they can have a recollection of their memory.
Devin Nunes. Today's the final of the hearings that we know about. Fiona Hill, Dr. Fiona Hill, Chief Chad, and David Holmes up there doing their thing. Not learning anything new. I mean, they're just talking about other things that they were somewhat privy to, but the reality is we've kind of been leaked all of the big stuff. And I think that's also part of the problem, is that when you're leaking things out, right? So you do all these private hearings, right? You're back there doing private hearings, and then you leak certain things out. When you do that, there's no shock, right? Right? There's no shock. And that's part of the problem is everything's already kind of been leaked. And maybe hearing from them for some people may change but it's not real. And there's nothing's getting moved. There's no needle that's been moved at all. So they better hope that Giuliani, and I think the more that, we sit here and listen to everybody, that we realize that Giuliani is a issue, but we've been talking about that forever.
At one point during a preliminary meeting of the inaugural delegation, someone wondered aloud why Mr. Giuliani was so active in the media with respect to Ukraine. My recollection is that Ambassador Sondland stated, quote, "Damn it, Rudy. Every time Rudy gets involved, he goes and F's everything up."
Ooh. Yeah, and he got involved. And there's issues with him. And maybe some of his nefarious characters. I think that has to be a real question that will be asked. And I'm sure the people that are putting these hearings together, the shifts of the world, are going to want to know. We need to get Giuliani in. We need to talk to these people. We need to find out what is going on with them. But nothing changed. Nothing has changed, right? Everybody's kind of on point, and to the point where, they're like making sure that we're all on the same team.
There's been a very aggressive campaign here by the White House to keep the senators on board. In fact, I am told that the president will be having lunch today with a group of 10 Republican senators. Among those expected to be here at the White House, dining with the president, Mitt Romney and Susan Collins, two of those moderates who would be expected to possibly break ranks if anybody would.
And they're not going to. They're not. They're not going to break ranks. You may find one or two potentially, but you also have to remember, like somebody like Mitt Romney, who just got elected, he's not worried about, losing anything, but Susan Collins and a few others. But at the same time, there's also some people on the left that are in very Trump districts. And they may be worried, look, if I vote for this, I could pay a price. So the Mansions of the world and a few others. So the reality is he's not going anywhere. He's not. And we are where we are. And you could say, well, he's corrupt and he's evil. Vote him out. That's it. Your thing is to vote him out. And last night, people had an opportunity to talk about all of this fun stuff because there was a debate. And it was so interesting. First of all, Trump was obviously very excited about the debate because they were going to be talking about him, which is his favorite subject. Probably not what they're talking about, though.
We have a criminal living in the White House. I have made it very clear that this is impeachable conduct, and I've called for an impeachment proceeding.
Anyone who wants to give me a big donation, don't ask to be an ambassador because I'm not going to have that happen.
But we cannot simply be consumed by Donald Trump. Because if we are, you know what? We're going to lose the election.
Well, the constitutional process of impeachment should be beyond politics, and it is not a part of the campaign. But the president's conduct is.
And by the way, I learned something about these impeachment trials. I learned, number one, that Donald Trump doesn't want me to be the nominee. That's pretty clear.
Yeah, but you're probably going to be the nominee, which is mind-boggling. We learned nothing last night about anything. They kind of came out and, Cory Booker, I thought, had a decent night. The only thing I like about Cory Booker is he went after, her wealth tax. But you can tell something. The media controls so much of this. Because there were times I did not know Tom Steyer was even in the building. Right? And, of course, Andrew Yang, people screaming and yelling, more Yang, more Yang. And then Phil and I, and everybody else, Phil, you noticed it too, right? Like, what was wrong with Amy Klobuchar?
Yeah, she wasn't shaking as much during the post-interview stuff.
No, she wasn't. But it was just like she was so excited. She was going to shake. And her hair's like, with the hair thing, it was like, whoa. But everything was, ask somebody a question, either Pete, and then go right back to Elizabeth Warren, and then go right back to Elizabeth Warren, then ask somebody else a question, then let Elizabeth, and then go to Bernie for a second, and then back to Elizabeth, then over to Pete, and then every once in a while, like, hey, Tulsi, that's a cool name. Would you change your name if you became president? You're like, what? But Biden still is in the lead. And if you watched it last night, I'm sorry. It's just, he struggles. He does. And it's just little things. And somewhere along the line, if it's not a talking point and he tries to ad-lib, it can go south.
And that's when we started this movement on the college campuses to fundamentally change the culture. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense, and that's rarely ever occurs. And so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. It will be a big no, I really mean it. It's a gigantic issue.
And that had to do with guns. And you're like, wait, what? Like, whatever. It's one of those things whenever they ask you a question, fire off something you've done in the past. Doesn't even matter if it fits the question. But everybody thought that they're coming for, they're going to come for Buttigieg because he's in the lead now. They're going to come for him. Here's something I noticed. They're afraid to come for him. They're afraid for a lot of reasons, right? He doesn't have that record. He doesn't have the stink of Washington on him. But here's the other thing. He is playing chess, and they are playing checkers. He is that far ahead of them. And to come for him means he's probably going to give far more than you're going to give to him. But I still don't think he's going to get the nomination. And I think people are put off by him at times because he comes across like he's 55 and uber worldly, even though he's only 37. And sometimes, like a lot of times with politicians, is not only is he polished, he almost seems like an actor. But he talks over the heads of a lot of people. You can have a disdain for Trump all you want. Right? I got no problems with that. I don't. But here's the thing about Trump that makes me laugh is, and what people don't get is, he's very much just Trump, right? Like he's just doing his thing. He's just yapping, and he's got, the way he talks, people relate to that. And there is something to that. Very much so. And that's why, for a long time, everybody said the same thing, whether it was about Hillary, where Hillary was talking down rather than at times over people. And you listen to Elizabeth Warren, it's the same thing. And producer Phil, you hit it on the head. She reminds a lot of people of Hillary. I had somebody out in the lobby tell me that. Oh, yeah. And she talks over people. And the other thing is that last night is the middle class, they're not victims. Not everybody's a victim. You know what made me say Cory Booker won last night? When they started talking about wealth tax, and he went after it about the fact that, we're always talking about taxing. We're never talking about building.
But the tax, the way we're putting it forward right now, the wealth tax, I'm sorry, it's cumbersome. It's been tried by other nations. It's hard to evaluate. We can get the same amount of revenue through just taxation. But again, we as Democrats have got to start talking not just about how we tax from a stage, but how we grow wealth in this country amongst those disadvantaged communities that are not seeing it. So if I am president of the United States, we're going to have a fair, just taxation where millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share. But dear God, we're going to have pathways to prosperity for more Americans.
And that's something you've not heard, because it's always about tax. It's always about, we're going to do this and we're going after this and you're going after this. And again, they come at it in such a way that, like, hey, look, you guys can't get on your feet yourself. You guys can't do the right thing. So we're going to have to step in and we're going to have to come and do the right thing because you guys are obviously not able to do that. I understand about looking at capitalism and understanding that some people absolutely take advantage of it. Also, politicians help in that by over-regulating and getting in bed, both sides of the aisle, with too many big corporations and industries. But what he said last night is we're always talking about this, and we're never talking about how do we build it up, right? Let's make everybody a millionaire and a billionaire. It's rather than, no, let's make sure that we can cut down from the top. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. A lot of stuff. More of this to talk about. the Rudy thing, guys, I'm telling you guys, Rudy is an issue. And you guys know that Rudy's an issue. I think everybody knows that Rudy's an issue. But he is becoming more and more an issue every single day. And I don't think that that's going to change. And I think if anything was to ever change when it comes to the American people saying, okay, wait a minute here, this is a bridge too far, no matter how much they're in love with Trump, it isn't going to be anybody who's spoken that works in the bureaucracy that is the federal government as ambassadors or, the backroom staff, if you will. It's going to be these nefarious characters in Rudy who have other things that may be a bridge too far. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It's that time of year. We're a week away from Thanksgiving. Then you got Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You're going to be out there going, hey, I got a lot of stuff coming to the house. I should figure out a way to protect it. And that's where Blink comes in. Blink is amazing. The cameras are so easy to set up. I mean, I'm talking seriously easy to set up. Big time. And I did it. So right away, you're like, well, because I'm not very techie. Just take them out of the box, no wires, a couple AA batteries, boom, away they go. Motion activated. You got a Blink smartphone app. Tells you when somebody's approaching. You got the two-way talk feature. Huge sale going on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So you want to make sure that everything that you're having delivered is absolutely not being porch pirated, right? That's where Blink comes in. And the two-way talk feature is great because you can scare people. And you can look into your animals and go, what are you doing? Because I do that with my big lizard, Norman. I'm like, Norman! And he'll look around like, what was that? And get this, free Amazon Echo Dot with any Blink system while supplies last. Now, the XD2 cameras are awesome. Now's your chance to get them big time. Sale goes on November 28th through December 2nd, and you're going to free Amazon Echo Dot. What are you waiting for? Get it. Blink systems. Right now. Love them. Say, hey, Chad, I got that. It's amazing. How do you get it? BlinkProtect.com/sale. 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 Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
In what some are calling an unavoidable move, Prince Andrew taking a break from his royal duties after scrutiny over the interview about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
The prince claiming he last visited Epstein to cut off contact with him, but stayed at his home for several days. That interview sparking intense backlash. Multiple sponsors ending their relationship with the royal.
It was just very convenient. I didn't have any. Nobody's going to rent me a room at that hour. So I was like, I'll stay here. I mean, I know they've got little girls running around here, and I don't know what they're doing, but I just think it's best that I stay here. It's very convenient, and that's really all that matters, especially when it comes to, child rape and whatnot. Just the convenience of it all. Talk about tone deaf. So with all of that being said, so he goes out, he says all those things. And by the way, it never got better, and he continued to spiral into stupidity. And you would have thought that somebody would have said something, somebody would have been like, he just kept saying weirder stuff.
Jeffery alleges she remembers the prince sweating profusely as they danced at a London nightclub in 2001.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time.
Jeffery has not responded to the prince's interview, but spoke to NBC News last September.
He knows the truth, and I know the truth.
Yeah. So now what? So he's stepping, like, this is huge, like, because this is the only thing they do, right? Like, they're not doing anything else. Like, he doesn't have a regular job. It's like, when I'm step away from all this stuff, I'm just going to focus on my comedy and sweating. He doesn't have a regular job, right? There's no regular job he has. His regular job is to go out and, be in front of Oxfam and all that. Yes, we're so happy to be here tonight and taking care of the people and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes from place to place and he opens up supermarkets and he, plays grab ass with people. So that's a big thing. But when you listen to him, it is like, so, this guy, Jeffrey, like, he was a registered sex offender. It's very convenient. Yes, of course. I was going to say it always is I like convenience. And now what are they going to do? He's like, well, maybe I should do it. The first interview went really well, so maybe I should do another one. Tone deaf. You think it's just us that are tone deaf in this world, kids? It's not. America, nah. Globally, everybody's got their issues. You know what's not an issue, at least until December 20th?
We did the continuing resolution that will be passed in the Senate today, sent to the president. And we have passed our appropriations bills, so we're ready for the negotiation, and hopefully it will take place expeditiously.
Hopefully it will. Yeah, so they got a CR. This is the world we live in. They can't even get. They can't walk and chew gum. I don't care what any of them said last night. They struggle, and right now they only seem to care about one thing. Most of you had no idea there was a debate if we weren't talking about it. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Money. I see my husband out there. My first Senate race, I literally called everyone I knew, and I set what is still an all-time Senate record. I raised $17,000 from ex-boyfriends. And I'd like to point out, it is not an expanding base. So I don't just think this with my head. I feel it in my heart.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Mr. Yang.
Yeah. So you're saying, what do I get? That's awesome, though. That made her human, right? That made her human. Here's the thing with somebody like Amy Klobuchar, who makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to say this, and you're going to say, Chad, you're being a Richard, and that's sexist. No, here's the reality of it. There's a certain look. Right? That's it. There's a look. But that's sexist. No, look, Chris Christie was never going to be president. Not in a day and age where there's social media, 24/7 cameras and everything. Just wasn't going to happen. Just wasn't. People, you're not going to have a mouth breather that sweats in the cold as president of the United States. I'm sorry, that sounds Richard-esque, but that's the reality of it. People are looking at her going, feels very soccer mommy. Right? They are. They are. I mean, that's just it. I mean, I like Andrew Yang, but no, it's not going to happen. Right? Joe Biden, he's what you got. Pete Buttigieg, right? You're looking up there. Tell me last night, who do you think beats Trump? 1-1 standing there. And it's a battle because it's going to become a slugfest. But take out even Trump. Who's sitting across, right, from MBS? The House of the Saud. Huh? Who's sitting there? Talk a big game last night. Who's looking across and staring down Putin and other world leaders? Who? Tell me. Because there is something to that. That's a real thing. I don't think, well, what about the 2 a.m. phone call? Well, first of all, Trump's up tweeting. So, oh, okay, you're not going to surprise him. He's tweeting. But think about certain situations. They're all capable people. They're all smart. They're not idiots. People don't realize this. How and Pete Buttigieg is uber smart. Cory Booker's a Rhodes Scholar as well. That guy's a smart guy. Tom Steyer? I mean, tell me right there last night, besides next to Trump, right? Trump's a tall dude. He's a big dude. He's loud. He's forceful. He's a China. He's in a China shop. He is the bull, right? Riding a rhino. underneath a dragon into China. Who up there last night is going to look like they're going to be able to command the stage? Because that will come across. So many people always go back to the fact that when you saw Nixon and Kennedy and there was sweat and this, that, and the other, that's when an era of, hey, you know what? There is a certain sense of things. Like FDR wouldn't be president today. Well, that's the reality of it. Say what you want, there's a reality of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Fiona Hill is on the Hill today doing their thing. You know, this is the last of what is going to be, at least for the time being, the front and center, out to the world impeachment hearings. And, you know, she knows about Russia big time. She absolutely understands about Russia. And she is, you know, she's brilliant by all accounts, smart. Continues to say, look, the narrative is that Russia's playing a game on us and wants us, and Trump is biting into a lot of that game.
What we're seeing here as a result of all of these narratives, as this is exactly what the Russian government was hoping for. If they seed misinformation, they seed doubt.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all they need to do. This is exactly what they want. And that has a lot to do with what? Planning certain things like, hey, you know what? The Ukrainians were really involved in you know, for you, Trump. Then 2016, it wasn't, you know, I mean, we really didn't do anything. And, you know, the Ukrainians, they were really helping Hillary and they were doing all the things and they got a DNC server and they got this, that, and the other. And they have all of these things. And, you know, Trump is still, that drives him crazy. Drives him crazy. That asterisk we talked about yesterday drives him crazy. That the only reason you want is because of this and all. So there's something gnawing at him. It's gnawing at him. But we're not learning anything really new today. We're learning stuff that has already been leaked, and maybe they're putting in some things around, some filler, but I don't see anybody jumping ship. Not at this point in time. Somebody wrote me a little while ago and said, you know, I listen to your show once in a while. I'm 77. You can tell you're 100% Republican. So I'm like, you really don't listen to my show, but it's okay. I'll play along with you. I follow all the impeachment hearings and more. When will the Republicans see that Trump is corrupt? Right? She says, and I just laughed, and I said, look, you know what? I said, I'm not a Republican, but thank you. And I said, and you're wrong about being a Republican. She goes, no, it's not funny. I want my grandchildren to grow up in a free America. Your grandchildren are going to grow up in a free America, right? Your grandchildren are growing up in a free America. Everybody needs to understand that. You know, the hair on fire world that's thrown out there on 24/7 basis is because it gets you to pay attention. But your kids, your grandkids, my grandkids, hopefully one day, they're going to grow up in a free America. Our biggest issue isn't some corrupt, evil politician that's going to come in and take over the world and da-da-da. The reality is, let's be real. All right, I'm going to say it. I don't care if it's Trump or Biden or anybody else. Even if they wanted to be dictators, they're kind of all on borrowed time. Chad, that's not very nice. It's not like they're in their 30s and 40s and they're rocking to, you know, just putting it out there. You know, Bernie may call for a revolution, but he may not be around to see the end of the revolution is what I'm trying to say. But this whole thought process, the world's, it's over, you know? It's over. It's it. It's free America. It's not going to be a free. We do more damage to ourselves by stripping ourselves of freedoms. Berkeley, last night, Ann Coulter, guess what? That was it. All night, right? All night. Going after her. Want to shut her down. We're trying to shut ourselves up. We're trying to change things. We're trying to literally whitewash stuff. And we're trying to take away, people's words. And we're redesigning words. And we're doing things that are just, it's insane. That, to me, is more frightening. You want to worry about a free America? Worry about the changing of language and the way that we're going after one another to cancel culture, where freedoms are being stripped right before our own eyes, and you're worried about whether or not something's going on that, let's be real, this is all politics. It's not about right or wrong. It's not about a lot of the reality is it's all politics. Right or wrong means nothing anymore when it comes to people keeping their positions of power. They'll vote whichever way keeps them in the comfort that they're used to. That's the truth. That's the sad truth. You would like to think they're going to vote the way that their conscience tells them, hey, you know what? This is the right thing because this is the right thing, right? But that isn't going to happen. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I don't care who's president or not, because now it's about, well, if I do this, even though it's probably not the right thing to do, the reality is if I did the right thing, then I'm going to be out of a job too, and I don't want to lose my position. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of politics and craziness, the holidays are here. Many of us get together. We have food. We enjoy ourselves. And while we're doing that, we're like, hey, I got a great idea. Let's play games. And as we all know, with politics games, it's a fight. Uno is trying to take the fight out of fun.
Well, the game of Uno is already known to create a commotion at family gatherings.
And now the game's designers are hoping to keep something else from breaking up your happy holidays. Politics, often the culprit. The new Uno nonpartisan gets rid of the politically charged red and blue cards in the deck. All right, well, they're going to replace them with more neutral colors, orange and purple, to keep the focus on the fun. If someone starts to talk politics while playing the game, anyone can grab the new veto card, play it to skip the person's turn. Yeah, that's going to go over well.
Yeah, because we're crazy. Like, when I was a kid, we weren't allowed to play because we were so competitive. And it got ugly. And then, it's like stuff was said. Next thing you know, people are fighting. And you're like, it's a Monopoly game. Why are there guns being drawn? But it's totally not as funny as it sounds. But it's totally crazy that we're at that point. And I was talking to my buddy Gatos, and we were talking about, we did this thing for this video for Thanksgiving, and and he says at his house now they have a red table and a blue table, so politics can essentially be completely. And I'm like, God, that's how crazy it is. I couldn't even imagine. Again, family members, friends, I could not imagine any of those things, like where I can't be a friend with somebody because of their political belief. And now the games are like, it's kind of funny, but there's some truth in the craziness. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of shaking, producer Phil, how we doing there? Because for those of you guys don't know, we've talked about it forever. If you leave your wallet at home, you don't care, but you leave your phone, you're going to go back and get it. The problem is, Phil, you're far away from your house. How are you doing today? How are you okay? Do you need anything?
I'm scared, Chad.
Yeah. He didn't know what to do. He's like shaking. Yeah. Oh, my God. That's crazy. What did we do before phones? I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, what did we do before phones? I couldn't even imagine it. Is there a time before phones? Yes, because we lived it.
Well, what's funny is the only thing that I rarely do on my phone is make phone calls.
Yeah, like it's not even a phone, right? Like, again, if you're calling me, it's probably a spam call, or it's my mom. I don't expect my mom to text, right? So I'm like, okay. But if you're calling me, there better be somebody dead, right? Somebody's injured, somebody stole something, the house is on fire, like it's emergency. Man. It's crazy, though. I don't even know what you're going to do today. What are you going to do, like, when you're going to go get food or something? Like, how does that work?
I don't know, Chad.
323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Well, you can't, Phil. You can't text the program either because, My Pillow. I slept so good last night. I did. Got my Go Anywhere pillow. It's just is awesome. I didn't think I had one because I took everything out of the car, but I was going through my car because I was like, oh, I need a jacket because it was kind of raining. And there was one, and I was like, oh, out like a light. Felt great. What are you doing? Right now, MyPillow's got huge, deep discounts on everything. The mattress toppers, I'm telling you, that's the gift that keeps on giving. I love all of their stuff. Their bed sheets are incredible, but they got the 2-for-1 going on. And the 2-for-1 is this. You buy a pillow for yourself, and then you get another one for free for Christmas to give to somebody. So you're giving yourself your own present. How amazing is that? Take advantage of that. 6-day money-back guarantee. 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the new radio listener tab. Enter promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Simple and easy. MyPillow.com. New radio listener tab. Boom. BENSON. Save big. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Howdy. I just want to apologize first and foremost for all the morons on the calls earlier, especially from, Alabama and all that. Secondly, I just want to say impeach the have a great day.
Thanks, Monty. In Florida, that's it for phone calls right now.
That's why I don't take phone calls. First of all, for the morons, wherever they are. And secondly, because you never know. I love C-SPAN. And that'll do it for phone calls tonight. You know what I like about C-SPAN? First of all, they're straight shooters, right? You know, and you've got 3 lines to call in. So you call the independent line, call the Republican line, call the Democrat line. So that is just, it's great. It's great. And every once in a while, you get something fun. Somebody drops one of those, what? Right there. Tonight, movie opens up. How big will it be?
I'm going with you. Anna? No.
Frozen 2, the tale of sisterly love and self-love, continues with siblings Anna and Elsa at the heart of it. Star Kristen Bell tells ABC News the sister part is her favorite, especially since she has 2 little girls, and she loves when they turn against her.
Like the older one will do something silly, and I'll reprimand her, and I'll be like, do you need to take a time out? And the little one will come up and go, don't talk to my sister! Leave her alone! And I'm like, it's funny, and I want to laugh, but I'm also like overjoyed that they're defending each other.
Frozen 2 could break box office records this weekend.
Elsa, get out of there!
You know, it's weird. Like, Jack loved the first one we went, and he saw it, and he loved it. Now he's 9. And I'm like, Jack, are you going to go see? No, I don't feel like it. I'm like, okay. I didn't know if you wanted to or not. I mean, I'll throw it out there. He's just like, nah, it's like, that's not cool now. Like, he's into, again, we went and saw Midway. That was his idea. It's like, you want to go see Midway? Sounds good to me. We'll go see Midway. Boom, we did. But it's because it's so far, he loved Olaf and all that stuff. But now he's at that age where he's cool. Like when I went and saw him, I picked him up about a month ago. I did 4 days with him where I drove out, we hung out, we did all this fun stuff. But I picked him up at school, I surprised him, and he saw me, but all of his friends were there, and he didn't want to be cool until we got near the car, and they came over and gave me a big hug. It's like, he's there. That's the age now. And I'm totally cool with that, right? I'm good with that. I remember what it was like to be young, right, and cool. I remember that. And now it's like, I remember, you remember when your mom and dad used to do something to embarrass you, and you realize now you do something to your kids or to your nephew or your sister, your sister's kids or your grandkids, whatever, and you do it on purpose. And you're like, oh, mom and dad did this to me on purpose. Because it's fun. He's like, Dad, stop doing that. Like, we went to this Halloween thing. He's like, Dad, stop dancing. Dad, stop doing this. Dad, don't do that. Dad, just go over there. Dad, stop it. And I'm kind of cool. Like, I'm tatted up and I'm punk rock. It's not like I'm, Nah, you didn't care. Still embarrassing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I do the same thing, though, with him when I go to the store. He's like, hey, Dad, I want this. I'm like, oh, stay away from me. You're embarrassing. I don't even know this kid. Who is this kid? Somebody call somebody. Who's this kid? Wanting stuff. Get away from me, you peasant. It's not very nice. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.